afternoon, Bluebirds.
Good afternoon, Bluebirds.
Good afternoon, Bluebirds.
Good afternoon, Bluebirds. I'm Kai with Aubrey delivering your announcements.
Happy birthday to Greta Neese.
Tonight is the final band concert of the year. The middle school band will perform at 6 p.m. and the high school band will perform at 7 p.m. The concerts will be in the pack.
Mark your calendars for soccer tryouts. Mr. Lenz posted the dates in Schoology. These dates are in the summer, so you definitely need to write these down. All tryouts will take place at Tower Park.
The tryout dates are July 17th and 18th for girls. Boys tryouts are July 15th and 17th. All current 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are welcome to try out. Remember, you must have a current KHSAA physical on file.
Just a reminder that all library books are due back on Friday, May 19th. Right now, many students are checking out books to read when they finish state testing. Just remember, when testing is done, these books need to be returned.
The Reds started out the 2023 baseball season on a pretty good foot. Now they're 6 games below 500. They're struggling, but they're not doing well. They certainly have lost a lot. They certainly have lost some home games in style. Like on Sunday when they lost 17-4. What a beating.
The Reds franchise has a great history, but now they are on a bit of a downward spiral. The other sports teams in Cincinnati are gaining more popularity than the Reds, and they are having more success. The two Cincinnati teams that are hot right now are the Bengals and FC Cincinnati. Up next, Kai takes a look at why this happened and what they can do to improve.
The Cincinnati Reds were the first Major League Baseball team to ever exist. The Reds are known for their amazing dynasties in the 1970s. Winning 2 championships, they got the name the Big Red Machine. The team also had a championship in 1990 and had one of the best teams in the MLB in the early 2010s. But nowadays, the Reds are known as the poverty franchise with the worst front office. But how did this happen? The year is 2013. The Reds have a star-studded lineup with guys like Joey Votto,
head deep center field. And Keel going back at the warning track. Gone.
Jay Bruce,
That ball is launched and the Reds lead goes to 3-0.
the flashy Brandon Phillips,
Over the mound, can they turn it? Brandon barehanded, double play.
and the Korean all-star Shin-Soo Choo.
And 1-2. In the air, left center. Oh, there's Rocco. And now Choo.
The Reds win 90 games and is set to face the Pittsburgh Pirates in the NL wildcard game. And for the third time in the last 4 years, the Reds come up short in the playoffs, losing 6-2 against the Pirates. This started the downfall of the Cincinnati Reds. Over the 2013 and 14 offseason, the Reds lost depth in the bench and bullpen due to free agency and trades. The team would never be the same. After the young, speedy Billy Hamilton was called up, people thought that the Reds would have another chance at a playoff push. But realistically, Hamilton could not keep up with his hitting, and the Reds' bullpen and depth could not keep up. The Reds would go on to have a record of 76-86, and it would only get worse from there. The Reds continued to have a winning percentage below 500 for the next 5 seasons. That was until 2020. Previously to the 2020 MLB season, the Reds had one of the cockiest and fun teams to watch in baseball. With guys like Yasiel Puig, Amir Garrett, and Derek Dietrich, the 2019 team was quoted, "some bat-flipping, showboating son of a guns." But even with all the flashiness and glamour, the Reds would still run into trouble producing wins. But then, COVID hits. With the COVID-19 virus changing the world, the MLB delays the 2020 season to July. They can only fit in 60 games in the season. The Reds surprisingly thrived in the season with no fans. Finishing 7th place in the NL, the Reds snuck into the expanded playoffs for the 2020 season. This was mainly due to one guy, Trevor Bauer, the NL Cy Young Award winner. But even with great pitching, as we have seen in the last decade, the Reds would tend to struggle early in the playoffs. As they were swept by the Atlanta Braves, the Reds would go on to score 0 runs in the series. In 2021, the Reds would lose Trevor Bauer to free agency, and he would end up suspended for legal allegations that turned out to not be true. Although the Reds finished 83-79 with the flashy Nick Castellanos and a comeback season for Joey Votto, the Reds would still go on to not make the playoffs. The business side of baseball is important, and that's what the Reds aren't good at. the Reds front office would trade Eugenio Suarez and Jesse Winker in the next offseason. They would also not even consider extending Nick Castellanos for another contract. He was signed by Philadelphia in that offseason. In 2022, the Reds would have the second worst record in franchise history at 62-100. But that leads us to now. Attendance is at an all-time low, and the Reds are getting worse. What can they do better? The front office is heavy on development of prospects. The Reds will be a more fun team to watch next year with guys like Elly De La Cruz, Noelvi Marte, Christian Encarnacion Strand, and Matt McLean are just some of the young talents that will be coming next year. But if you look at the line score of most Reds losses, the other team is scoring most runs later in the game. This is because of the bullpen. In the now 10-year downfall of the Reds, they have never had a strong bullpen. In the 2023-2024 offseason, the Reds need to work on signing young talent in their bullpen. With a better bullpen and young prospects, the Reds could be on an uprising for the coming years.
If the Reds can improve their bullpen and young talent, they could be contenders for the future years.
Up next, we have a look at the second day of the 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip looks like. Once again, you will notice that the day begins early and ends late with lots of walking and sightseeing in between.
Consider signing up for the trip. You won't regret it. And like many 8th graders have said, the trip was so much fun.
For lunch tomorrow, we will be having Mandarin orange chicken over rice and edamame.
This week is Teacher Appreciation Week. There's a display set up in the library where you can write a note of appreciation to a teacher and Miss Rosenhagen, to a teacher, and Miss Rosenhagen and Miss Griffith will help deliver the notes.
Up next, we have another video highlighting our teachers. The teachers here really enjoy each other and many lifelong friendships are formed here between teachers. Here is a video that looks at some teacher friendships.
Most of us use TikTok on a daily basis, but have you seen the trend?
Miss Miller, who's your teacher best friend?
Let's ask some teachers who their best friends are.
One of my teacher best friends is Miss Camschmidt. The reason why is because when I started here, she was awesome and took me under her wing, and she's just a wonderful friend.
Camschmidt, how do you feel that Miss Fry said you were her teacher best friend?
That is amazing. Mrs. Fry is an excellent friend, and I'm honored.
Okay, but who is yours?
Mr. Shadwell.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Shadwell, how do you feel that Mrs. Camschmidt said you were her teacher best friend?
She really said that?
Yeah.
I'm her teacher best friend? Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I guess that's nice of Miss Camschmidt. I mean, we're in a band together, so like we should probably be like friends, right? Of course.
But who's your teacher best friend?
No offense to Miss Camschmidt. I mean, don't worry. Like they're like it's like a close second. But I've known Miss Rowland for like ever. Forever.
My teacher best friend is probably at the moment Mr. Neporty, just because he's funny, he's hardworking, and he's an all-around righteous dude.
Okay, Mr. Neporty, Mr. Shufflebarger said you were his teacher best friend, but in your opinion, who's yours?
But, and I appreciate Mr. Shufflebarger's friendship, but my best friend in Highlands Middle School is Mrs. Rowland. We've been friends for a long time.
How did it make you feel that Mr. Shufflebarger said you were his teacher best friend?
Oh, it makes me feel good. I'm glad that we made a connection through our social studies teaching, and he's a rock star.
All right, thank you. So Mr. Neporty said you were his best friend. How does that make you feel?
It makes me really happy.
But who's yours?
Probably Mr. Neporty's. He's my oldest friend here at school and one of my best.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lipscomb, who is your teacher best friend and why?
My teacher best friend is Mr. Augustine because we have bonded over sports, pretzels, and spicy foods.
All right, thank you. Mr. Augustine, Mr. Lipscomb said you were his best friend. How does that make you feel?
Emotional. It means a lot to me.
But who's yours?
My best friend at school, it's definitely Lips.
F is for friends who do stuff together.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Harnish, who's your teacher best friend at HMS?
Mine would be the Og Dog, Mr. Augustine. I've known him for a very long time, and he has been a good friend to me.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Renata, who's your teacher best friend?
That's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to go with Miss Corman.
What? You've got to be kidding me with everything we've been through this year?
Huh?
I would be the Og Dog, Mr. Augustine. I've known him for a very long time, and he's been a good friend.
I'm so sorry, I mean Mr. Harnish. Definitely Mr. Harnish.
Okay, thank you.
And now for today's quote of the day. Today's quote is from Taylor Swift. She said at the 2023 iHeart Music Awards, she said, I want everybody to know, especially young people, that the hundreds and thousands of dumb ideas that I had led me to good ideas. You have to give yourself permission to fail.
Have a great rest of the day, Bluebirds.